When you were finding the deals back then, I know it's much different from now. What are you finding has changed when it comes to locating deals for investors in the past versus where we're at now? Because that's changed significantly.
Yeah, so now financing for larger apartment buildings is easier to a degree. A couple years ago, it was much easier. Now, even though rates were higher, and now rates are still elevated compared to 5 years ago. But financing is the number one. So mortgages used to always be 25 years, right? Mm-hmm. I bet most of the audience doesn't know that if you buy a 5-unit and above, if you have some affordable housing, you can get a 50-year mortgage.
Okay, there we go.
So all of a sudden, your debt obligations are a lot less.
Yes, sir.
So,
okay. How many, is there a percentage of affordable housing that has to be in the unit?
Yeah. Okay. Minimum 40%. So if you got a 5-unit, 2 of them. Okay. Yeah, 2 to 3. Yeah, 60%. CMHC. It's through CMHC. It's a government-backed program. They charge fees and stuff, obviously, but they give you the better interest rates and they give you a longer amortization because they want to help with affordability.
Right.
And with the run up in price, they kept the market afloat. Like 88% of brand new construction apartment buildings that are under construction, I've got one of them, are financed through CMHC. So 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10 are financed through CMHC, through that program?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, which makes sense, right? So then I think that gets back to the cash flow, right?
You can't make the numbers work because of the equity requirements. I mean, the cost to build is basically doubled. And so versus like 7-8 years ago.
And that's what I'm hearing all the investors say right now. They're like, there's no deals out there. I don't know how anybody's making the numbers work.
Yeah.
Is what I hear from a lot of people.
So you got to... how do I say it? It's like what my wife did with me. She married down. So you got to lower your expectations. So it's like what you got to, at the end of the day, if the numbers don't work, you either got to lower your expectations or you just keep your powder dry. So you keep your money on the sidelines and you can buy bonds or other risks because there's risk with real estate. I mean, there's, people talk about all the good things, but I mean, I damn near went bankrupt on my very first deal and it was only $95,000.
How so? Let's talk about that so that we can...
Because it's unsustainable if the expenses are higher than the rents.
And is that what was going on in the first one?
That's what was going on, and we had private money. We got to 100% financing, maybe even higher than 100% financing.
Jeez.
But it was at 12% interest for the first 6 months, then it went up to 18, and it's just like holy smokes. And then your natural gas went up to like $39 a gigajoule. So to put that in perspective, I think that's about 10x higher than what it is today.
10x.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a huge spike. You can see it, and people were losing their buildings left, right, and center. The heated buildings.
So then what did you do to get around that to make sure that you weren't going to...
Well, my partners took it over because it was just, okay, well, they can just refinance it. But at the same token, I mean, I was 24 and I had my new 12-unit building that I was pouring all of my lines of credit into and investing in. And the owner held the mortgage on that one because it wasn't bank financeable. So we just kind of went our separate ways and they managed that for me at the start.
Yeah. For people looking for deals out there today and your new investors, let's say somebody wants to get in the market, somebody wants to become a investor because they like, the sound of what you're talking about, the cash flow and kind of this whole thing. What would you recommend to somebody who's just getting started today?
Make sure you buy in good locations, even if it costs a little bit more, because they hold their value better.
Would you recommend starting off on a single family, or would you recommend starting in a
single families are expensive, right? And so I went to my first real estate investing conference in Halifax in 2012.
Okay.
And I still remember what a gentleman, Patrick Johnson, who's a mentor, he owned like 2,000 apartments at one point.
Yes,
lives in the Dominican now. Great man.
Nice.
And he said to me, he's just like, why are you buying single families? Because if that tenant moves out, you got no revenue coming in.
Right.
Why don't you buy a 6-unit? Because then if somebody moves out, at least you have 5 people to pay. And I was like, oh, okay.
So you're actually lowering the risk with the more units.
Risk, yes. So I would recommend that you go bigger than what you think.
10x. Now,
I'm not saying 10x. I'm not saying if you're going to buy a duplex, buy a 20. But if you're looking, you know, if you've got $100,000, let's say, saved up and you're 40, 50 years old and you're like, okay, I want to do some real estate investing. The financing on a duplex, fourplex is 20% down because you're not living in it. Mm-hmm. So on a fourplex, 800,000, you're going to need 160, you know, so you're capped at like 500,000, right? With that $100,000 down.
Yep.
But with above 5 units, that 100,000, if you have the net worth, and you know, you pass all the other things, you can actually get 20x. So you can buy a $2 million property. So you could buy a 12 unit. So all of a sudden, you know, just, you know, financing to me. So, I mean, that's, you know, that's where it's, and you get better financing. Yeah, you got to pay the fees, which are a business expense, but you get the longer amortization, which lowers your monthly obligation. Which and interest is tax deductible. It's a line one expense. And then, so that basically that's the big thing. It's just like, think a little bit bigger because, you know, and financing is everything. There's some people that are scared of debt. I mean, I get it, but I mean, you, in real estate today, without debt, it's very, very tricky unless you've got piles of money.
Yeah. Jeez.
So that's how it works. So 100,000 would get you up to a $2 million property.
Now you said if you pass the other criteria as well.
Yeah, so you gotta have net worth of like 25% of the loan. So
okay.
if you're looking for a $2 million property, you've got to have like, and it's just you have to have a net worth of about 500,000.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Just still, because I mean it is government money, right? Like at the end of the day, if you don't make your payments, then you know the government, like all the taxpayers across Canada are technically liable. But CMHC is very successful. They usually pick winners for the most part, and they don't invest. You know, I mean, now they have higher premiums too to offset the risk. But yeah, so.
Do you have any advice for people out there in the investing world dealing with bad tenants?
It's very hard now. If they pay their rent, it's very hard to get them out. You could have a non-smoking unit and people can smoke in it and the rentalsman won't do anything. Yeah, so unless, of course, you catch them on video, date stamped, in the act of smoking in the apartment, then I think they'll consider it. But
is that even legal?
Gotta give 24 hours notice to enter, right? So that's kind of just to give you an example. And,
I got you. Yeah.
And people, you know, if they're dealing drugs in your apartment, you got to catch them actually dealing the drugs.
Okay.
It's very hard to get people out because, you know, there's been an affordability, you know, issue. I'm not going to say housing crisis because we have lots of supply actually right now. It's an affordability crisis. That's what it boils down to.
I like that.